In this CineGuru MAX tutorial, I'm going to give you a basic introduction to actors. Now, an actor is a character or object which, when triggered, will perform a list of instructions that we will write in a text file called an action text. So this can be really useful for creating characters or moments in games, scripted sequences where your player can be kind of walking around and characters will do actions when triggered. So that could be something as simple as the player enters a room and a character will walk over, say a line, and perform an animation, like this.
Hey, you!
So we're going to build up this little sequence again from scratch. So if we take a look in the editor, all we've got down is a cine trigger zone, and it's triggering our character to go and walk over to this sort of green thing. And then as we just saw, when they get there, they'll say a line and they'll perform an animation. So let's delete all of this and we'll start again from scratch. We're going to start by dropping in a character. I'm using the stock policeman, but you can use any character you want. Now, by default, this police officer is called Police, and if we were to drop in another instance of that character, that name would also be Police, so two characters with the same name. Now, that's not normally a problem, but when we're turning this character into an actor, we need to give him a unique name. So we're going to call him Actor 1, and every actor in your level needs to have a unique name. So that could be Actor 2, Actor A. You could give them actual names. We're going to do an example in a future tutorial with two characters called Bob and Jane. What we're now going to do is go into the Behavior tab, and we're going to change their behavior from the default character attack to a script that's included in CineGuru MAX called CG Actor. And this basically tells CineGuru MAX that this character is an actor, and so when triggered, they're going to perform a list of instructions. But where do they get those instructions from? Well, we have a variable down here called text file, and here we're going to specify a text file that's going to contain a list of instructions that we're going to write. So first off, let's open up Notepad. Let's just have a blank Notepad file here, and we're going to save it as, I don't know, actiontext.txt. Very straightforward. So actiontext.txt doesn't contain any information at the moment, but we'll still select it as our action text file for this actor. So we'll just select it there. By default, it will look for those scripts in the script bank CineGuru MAX folder. So that's where we've saved ours. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to do just for best practice is to come down to developer settings, and I'm going to check always active. That's not going to matter so much in this example because the player is very close to where the character is going to be activated, but this is really useful for activating characters that are a long distance away from your player character. So, okay, let's start writing the action text. So, the first thing we need to understand about action texts is that the way they're written is the start of every line needs to start with the name of the actor that the instruction pertains to. So, in this case, the instruction is for Actor 1. So, we're going to type in Actor 1, comma, and then we're going to write our first action. So, what I tend to start my action text with is a command called idle, and this basically sets what does the character do before they're activated. What are they doing while they're just idle? Now in CineGuru Classic you would normally define animation frames, so you might say idle would be frames 900 to 999, and we used underscores a lot more in CineGuru Classic as well. Here it doesn't work like that. CineGuru MAX's animation system works on names of animations rather than animation frames. So what we actually need to do is get the name of an idle animation and play that in. So what I'm going to do instead is just say idle, and then I'm going to add our little separator, which is this sort of pipe character which we'll use throughout, and then we'll name the animation that we want to be the idle animation. So in this case I know that this character has an idle animation simply called idle with a capital I. So that means that before this character is activated, it's just going to play and loop its idle animation endlessly. It also means that when the action text is finished and the character's done all of its instructions, it will go back to just idling over and over this idle animation. So what's the first thing we want this actor to do when he's triggered? Well, I'd quite like him to walk closer to the player and kind of walk up here somewhere. So what we're going to do is go back into our level objects and go to CineGuru MAX, and we're going to lay down an actor mark. So that's this green sort of arrow looking object here, which will be invisible in test game. So we'll drop that down here. So These are quite similar to actor marks which are found on real life film sets. Normally they're sort of T-shaped. We've added a little kind of point to ours so you can tell exactly where the actor's going to point when they get to their mark. But essentially this marks a spot on the floor where the character can visit. It also needs to have a unique name. So every actor mark in your scene needs a unique name. We're just going to call ours Mark 1. And you can see it's already loaded with the CG underscore mark behavior. There are some parameters here which aren't kind of useful in this particular tutorial, but we'll come back to those in a later tutorial. So now we've named our actor mark, what we want to do is instruct our actor to walk over to it. So what we're going to do is create a new line and then say, okay, so this instruction is for actor 1, and when activated, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to move to mark 1. It's important to say that the move command only works with actor marks. So if you put down an object in the world and you call it table 1, you can't write something like move table 1. That won't work. It only works with actor marks. So what you could do is you could put down your table and then put your actor mark sort of underneath your table and then just name it something unique and say, yeah, the actor has to walk to that specific mark, and then effectively the actor will walk to that table. This will all be covered a little bit more in a bit more detail in a future tutorial. So now if we just save that and we go back into test game, we've created a very simple sequence where when activated, our actor will... Oh, no, we haven't, because I've forgotten to add a cine trigger zone. Look, I'm allowed to make mistakes too, okay? So firstly, let's go and add a cine trigger zone. This is what's going to activate our actor. So when the player enters this zone, we're going to draw a visual logic connection to our actor. We're going to activate this actor. So let's try that again. This is what it should have looked like. So player enters the zone, character walks over to his mark. And that's it. Okay, great. But that's pretty straightforward. What I'd like to do now is have him say a line. So if we go back into CineGuru MAX and we take a look at our CG actor, you can see that we have these speech files here. So by default, we have 4 different sound slots here, and you can record your own voiceover, or you can just select the one that already comes with the character. So in this case, we know that the character, the policeman character, has these sort of 4 sound slots, and by default it's populated them with sounds that already come within that character. We could put in our own sound if we wanted to. So if we just went and selected perhaps a line that I recorded earlier. What's this one?
That's the door down the hall, isn't it?
So we'll select that as our sound file. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add in a command that will mean that when that character gets to their mark, they will say that audio file. So back in our action text, we want to put a comma after our move command, and then put in the speak command. So speak, and then we're going to use again the little pipe character as the separator. We need to put in a number for what sound slot the sound file is in. Now looking at this, we've got speech 1, speech 2, speech 3, so this must be speech 0. So in slot 0, it's going to play sound 0, and then we can also define a volume between 1 and 100. So I'm just going to say 100. So let's save that. So now, when activated, our actor is going to walk to their mark, and they're going to say, hopefully, the line that we've just specified.
That's the door down the hall, isn't it?
And you might have just been able to pick out that he even lip-synced as well. So that's a nice improvement on CineGuru Classic, as we've actually got lip-syncing characters most of the time in CineGuru MAX. Okay, but maybe I don't want that character to say their line straight away. Maybe I want to add a little bit of a delay. So we can do that by using the delay command. So between our move command and our speak command, I'm going to add in the delay command. So I'm going to say delay pipe 1000. So that's a delay of 1000 milliseconds. So our character is going to walk to their mark, pause for a second, and then say their line.
That's the door down the hall, isn't it?
So you can see there was a little bit of a pause there before he said his line. So okay, that's going pretty well. But I don't just want him to stand there while he's saying his line. I want him to do an animation. And here's where Game Guru Max perhaps is slightly limited. The default characters that come with Game Guru Max don't contain a huge number of animations. I mean, I personally really recommend getting hold of the animation booster pack because you'll be able to build characters with a lot more different variations in. But I appreciate not everyone will want to buy that. Not everyone has that already. So what we need to do is define an animation for this character to play, and it's got to be a stock animation that this character already has. So a little trick for kind of finding out what animations a stock character already has, we're going to drag out another instance of that character, and we're going to change its behavior to play animation. Play animation is a behavior that comes with Game Guru Max, and it allows you to kind of set a character, and as they'll kind of loop an idle animation, and then as you get close to them they will perform a different animation. So for instance, in fact, if we move this off to the side we can probably demonstrate this. So let's say that his action animation, so this is the one that triggers when we get close to him, is throw grenade. So he's going to idle his idle animation, and as we get close to him he's going to do his throw grenade animation. And I think I'll reduce the range a little bit as well and move him a bit further away. So with any luck, if I now run test game, this policeman character, so he's looping his idle animation, and then as we get close, there we go, he does his little, he plays his idle animation. So, sorry, he plays his throw grenade animation. So what's useful about this script is that it lists out all of the names of the animations right here. So you can reference these in your action text. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our policeman, our actor, to perform one of these animations. And since we know that throw_grenade is a named animation that we can reference, that is part of this policeman character, that's the one we're going to use. So over in our action text, after the speak command, we're going to put a comma, and we're going to write anim, so that means animate, play animation, again our pipe separator. And then what is the name of the animation that we want to do? Well, I think it was called throw with a capital T underscore grenade with a capital G. So now, as he's saying that line, he's going to perform his animation. And there are ways that you can set the speed of the animation, and there's other things you can do, but we won't cover that in this particular tutorial. So I'm just going to go and show you what that looks like.
That's the door down the hall, isn't it?
Okay, so we've successfully triggered a character to walk to this mark on the floor, he's said a line, and he's performed an animation all on cue. And the nice thing about these scripted sequences is that the player has control the whole time. So, this is when you want to do your Half-Life 2 moments where, you can still kind of run around the level and have two characters kind of interacting, or one character talking to the player.
That's the door down the hall, isn't it?
And it just makes it a lot more immersive than having a kind of a pre-rendered cutscene or even cutting to a camera. So it kind of gives the player agency. So that's a brief introduction to actors. In the next tutorial we're going to go over a much more complicated example that's going to have two actors that are going to act to each other, and it's going to bring in all kinds of cool other features that we've added for CineGuru Max. So I'll see you then.